Hey, everybody, welcome to Mid America Dirt. I'm Skip, and I am super excited to be joined by Tyler Breashears, Lone Oak, Arkansas, originally. And Tyler, man, you are a crew chief on a top tier national late model team. So I am super excited to get you on here and hear your story. And if you will, kind of just first off, tell me, how does it feel, man, to be on that crew doing as good as that crew's doing?
Well, I mean, it obviously is a pretty good feeling, and first off, I do want to say thanks for having me on here. I'm
My
obviously being
pleasure,
from
man.
Arkansas and stuff, we have some ties together there. So,
Yes, sir.
I ran into you in Kansas a few weeks ago and, I told you we were going to do this, and you wanted me to, so I appreciate you letting me be on here. But to answer your question, I mean, it's a really cool feeling. I mean, I grew up around this stuff basically my whole life, and to know that I'm a part of a team that's like you said, top tier. Uh, it's a pretty good feeling for sure. It but this is the most humbling sport as well. So I mean, especially being on that level, I mean, there's a lot of adversity to overcome and things like that. But surrounding yourself with great people is the best thing you can do, and that's what we've done over there with ASD Motorsports. John Henderson has definitely, built a team that's pretty amazing to say the least. And like it's awesome. It is. It's pretty fucking cool. I'll just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mhm.
hear you, man. And obviously I've been a fan for a long I've been a fan, I don't know if I saw you at Rocket Raceway Park last year or not, but I did meet
Yes,
Ethan,
sir. Yep.
and that's when I got the lid. I'm a huge fan. I told my wife when I saw Dodson out there on the track, and I think I saw him and I think Troutman in the same race. Maybe it was over in Pennsylvania somewhere or something like that. I said those two are good. Those two drivers are really good, and I've been a huge fan of you guys ever since. And then I found out, later on, that you're the crew chief, that you're from, you know, 2 hours away from where I'm from, which is super cool.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, man, I'm a huge fan of you guys for real. So how did you get into this? Well, tell me your story. Did you come from a racing family?
Yes, sir. I was at 2 weeks old. I was at a racetrack. Fresh out of the womb. Uh, Actually, my brother-in-law is Casey Finley, and
Okay.
Casey is he's a pretty well-known modified driver from around the Arkansas area, and he raced his whole life, and he is the reason that I got involved into racing. Going to the racetrack with him as a little kid, just following him around. Finally old enough to go to the pits and scrape mud and do things like that, wipe the car down. That was a big deal, and I did that. You know, Basically all through high school. And then when I got old enough to start playing football in high school, um, you know, I I'll be honest, it kind of took away from my racing, and I didn't like it. But I love playing football as well. So I mean, we would get done with football on Friday nights, and then I would load up and go to wherever he was racing on Saturday or that night and go there for the next night, whatever the case might be. But I mean, I grew up in it, racing family. My mom and dad were huge supporters of whatever you know their kids wanted to do, and it turned out that my family enjoyed racing. So,
That's awesome.
because of Casey and his family being involved in racing, like we all went. It was a big family affair. My brother's involved in motorsports just as much, if not more, than I am. He works in Hendrick Motorsports in the engine department on the
Wow. Okay.
NASCAR side of things, and um, I mean, it's I've just grown up around it, and starting out just going to the racetrack, scraping mud, and now, like you said, being, like a crew chief or being involved with a top tier team, that's from one extreme to the other, and it's exactly what I've, always wanted to do, basically.
Yeah.
hmm
That's awesome, man. So did you said playing football? Did you play football for Lone Oak or
Yes,
what?
sir. I played football for Lone Oak. I mean, we went to the state championship my senior year. Like,
Did
yeah,
you
we
really?
didn't win. Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
All that cool stuff. So I
Well,
mean, we were.
I'm from Salem. We did not, when I was going to Salem, we did not, we were, we got beat all the time. I mean, we were
Yes,
lucky
sir.
if we beat Marshall. I'm gonna piss some people off for Marshall. I mean, Marshall's the only team we could beat, and maybe I don't know. Every once in a while, maybe Yellville, but usually not. But
Yeah,
I mean, we get stomped all the time. Now Salem's like freaking really good.
yeah. They're
They're
one of the top tier teams in the state.
they are. They
Yes,
are, man.
I
And
agree.
you
I
know, I
still
got
keep up
some.
with that stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
I got some buddies that I went to that I grew up with. Their kids are playing on that team.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm
cool.
like,
Yeah.
how in the world did that happen, man?
It's most of my buddies that, the reason I do keep up with it is because my buddies are coaches on these teams now.
Ah,
So,
no joke. Okay.
I mean, that's how I stay kind of connected with the high school sports, living in South Carolina now. I mean, all the way
Yeah.
in Arkansas, but I still keep up with it.
That's pretty
That's,
cool, man. Because I lived in South Carolina for a while. I lived in Greenwood for, I don't know, a few years when I worked over there in South Carolina. And South Carolina's, I
wait,
mean,
you
it's not
lived
bad.
where?
South Carolina's Greenwood.
That's where I'm at right now, buddy.
No joke.
Yeah, I live in Greenwood, South Carolina. Yes,
That's
sir.
cool. After we
Yeah.
get done record this, I can tell you exactly where I lived over there. You'll probably know where it is. But yeah, man, I lived in Greenwood. I used to railroad over there.
Okay.
Um, and I like South Carolina. South
Oh yeah.
Carolina reminds me of home.
Yes, I agree.
It
That
does.
that northwest part of the state kind of area, that Russellville,
Yeah.
your area, like that
Yeah.
part right there. This is very similar to that area for sure.
It really is.
It is. Yeah,
I mean, the
that's
people are
crazy.
awesome
Small
over there
world, man.
too.
You live in Greenwood, and I'm in Greenwood right now. This is where I
That
live.
is
Yeah.
cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
I think I kind of knew that when I wanted to talk to you because I thought that'd be a cool connection too. That we actually kind of lived in the same places like that. That's pretty neat. But it is,
Yeah.
man. The people are friendly over there.
Oh yeah.
Uh, if there was any other state I would live in besides Arkansas, it would definitely be South Carolina. I do. I love that place, man. I really do. But hey, getting back to it though. So after high school, how did you never drove a car? I asked you that, right? You never
No, sir.
raced?
Yeah, I've never driven. No, I mean, I've raced a couple times, but I mean, just hopping in somebody's cars just to have fun. But no,
So
I've always just wanted to work on them.
so
I've
how did
always
you
been
get
interested.
from, racing, there and being around, Central Arkansas or whatever? How do you go from that to being the crew chief on this freaking team?
I mean, like I said, because of Casey, my brother-in-law, I met a lot of the right people. Like racing modifieds in Arkansas. You knew the Landers family, obviously Jared,
Sure.
Gavin, Lance, all them. So I kind of knew of them through that modified racing and stuff, and then we had another friend, Cody Curie was his name. He ran the what was then the Neesmith Crate Series, the national tour. He lived in BB, and there was some connections there, and me and him become good friends. And that was my first kind of dabble into the late model world. Was with him crate racing, and he didn't live far from me, type thing. So I wanted to get more involved. Just wanted to see what it was about. Um, and so I started helping him a little bit, working around the shop some. I worked in BB at the time. Um, so I mean, it was easy for me to go to and from his shop and things like that. So, I got involved with him on that stuff. And then Cody wanted to slow down on his racing a little bit. And Gavin, which is Jared's brother, Gavin Landers, Jared's little brother, Gavin was racing at the time, and me and Gavin become friends through duck hunting. We got to know each other pretty
Oh yeah.
well just through duck hunting and things like that. So, um, it just kind of snowballed from there. Like I started hanging around Gavin and Jared Grouder and them guys at the time when Gavin was still super racing. Um, and when that was going on, that's when Jared was still racing as well, and Scott's cars had the Team Zero cars and things like that. Jason Durham was a crew chief over there for Jared at the time. They were running the Lucas Oil Series. Um,
Okay, now that guy is he the crew chief for is it Hudson O'Neill now?
he is
Okay,
Hudson's crew chief now, yes, sir.
I
And
got you.
like I said, me and Gavin and Jared Grader, we raced around, the Comp Cam series for a couple years there. Um, and I was just basically going to the shop, once or twice at night during the week, and then just going to the racetrack with them. Um, but then it kind of turned into, hey, why don't like let's go racing around Jared and them, like just going on, going to some bigger races, not necessarily Gavin racing, but just going to learn
Hmm.
and in return I was able to meet Scott Blomquist through all that time and because of Jason Durham and Scott and their relationship and Jared and just a whole it's just all about the people that and the people
Right.
that can get you certain places, but at the time I wasn't thinking about anything like this. Like at the time I was building duck calls for a living, duck hunting
Oh,
for a
no
living.
joke. You
Yeah,
built duck calls?
yes, sir. That's what I did for before I did all this. I did that for
Oh,
six
that's freaking
years.
awesome, man. All right. So no joke, you built duck calls?
Yeah, so I was building duck calls and racing, part time, I guess you could say, on the weekends and
Yeah.
going. But I was going with the right people, and I was trying to learn as much as possible. Well, uh, that's about the time Jared got hurt, and Jared quit
Yeah.
racing. And when Jared quit racing, Gavin's racing picked up a little bit, and then plus us going to the racetrack with Scott picked up a lot, going to help, especially at bigger events and things like that. So, I was able to learn a lot from that guy. Obviously, I mean,
Yeah. No joke.
and I soaked it up as much as I could, and uh, and we did that for a year. And then Lance Landers decided he wanted to start another team. He wanted to have another national team. Jared couldn't race because he was injured, but he wanted to build a team. Um, so that's when he hired Jason Durham, Jonathan Davenport as a driver, Jason Durham as a crew chief. Rumley was on the team as well, and I became the tire guy. I was,
Wow. Okay.
this was in 2018, never been on the road before. Never, never even dreamt of being, running up and down the road with a national late model team, especially some of this caliber. I mean, we have Kevin Rumley, Jonathan Davenport, Jason Durham.
Right.
Like, these
That
are
sounds
three
like a
names.
it sounds like a almost like a Saban coaching tree type
No,
thing.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It
I mean,
really does.
it was like the dream team type deal. And then there's this random kid that's going to be the tire guy over here. And I my mom had actually passed away in this time frame, and I was kind of
Oof.
ready for a change of scenery. So I chose to do it. And I'm like, hell, I'll do it for a year. And Lance told me, he's like, man, go do it for a year. Like I hired you on for a year. You're in. If you don't like it at the end of the year, just tell me. We'll hire somebody else. Like no big deal. But I want you to go get the experience, whatever. So I went and did it. And 3 years later, here we are, two championships, a bunch of crown jewels. You
No
know,
joke.
I mean, getting to work with, like I said, three of the bigger names in the, if not the biggest names in dirt late model racing. Um, you know, Jason Durham, put me under his wing, and I lived with him in Kentucky. That's where we kept the race cars at when JD was driving, when we were all together. So I lived in Jason's house, became a part of his family essentially. I mean, it was a pretty cool experience, but the whole time I was doing this, I'm learning from one of the best. I mean, like Jason,
Yeah.
you could walk around the pits, any big dirt late model event, and he's going to be, you know, top two, if not the number one crew chief. When somebody, if you ask somebody, they're going to say
Yeah.
Jason Durham. Jason runs a really tight knit program. You know, he's very knowledgeable, and he knows how to take care of his stuff and knows how to run things. So I had probably the best teacher in the dirt late model world, as far as being a crew chief, or just being a part of a national team, top tier team.
Right.
um, so we did that for 3 years, and in that time I actually met my what is now my wife. In that time frame of us racing, and I knew that I was going to live in Greenwood, South Carolina, which is where she's from. And I was kind of ready to slow down a little bit, have a normal life, because a lot of people don't realize, some people do, but most people don't, kind of what the lifestyle is when you're running up and down the road, especially on a national tour level. Um, what it takes. I mean, you're never home. Um,
Right.
and and I
It's kind of
was,
like a, it's kind of like a, it's almost like a carny lifestyle, right? I
oh
mean,
yeah,
you
no,
guys all know each other. You're tight knit, and you guys are always on the road together.
oh yeah, no, and I mean, like, you become really close with 99% of these people, because it's such a small group, of
Right.
folks that do this. But at the same time, you have a lot of fun. You do. You have a pretty laid back lifestyle, but it's a lot of work at the same time. A lot of
Yeah.
work. Um, so, I mean, I was ready to kind of slow down. So I told him, at the beginning of that last season, like, hey, like, end of the year, I'm going to be done. Let's help, or I'll help, let's find somebody to replace me, whatever the case might be. Um, so we went on to win a bunch of big races that year. And at the end of the year, the Fall Classic was my last race with the JD over there in Wynot. And I actually loaded up in the pickup truck with Matt Langston, and he dropped me off over here. And I had my trash bag full of clothes and suitcases and
That
everything
sounds
that
like me, buddy.
I mean, I was here, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. I'll be honest. I mean, I had obviously quite a few friends that were over in this area. Brandon
Yeah.
Overton's not far, Cody Overton. Um, so I mean, Michael Brown isn't far from here, and they're all good friends of mine. So I knew that I was probably going to stay involved in racing, but I really didn't want to. I'll just be honest, like because I knew what it I was, I knew what it took,
What were
to
you
do.
thinking you're gonna do after doing all that, though?
I mean, I'll be
I
honest.
mean,
You can even ask
everything
my
you do,
wife.
it seems to me like everything you do after that is gonna be boring as hell.
It probably would be, but you can even ask my wife. I said, I'm going to go to work at Lowe's. That's what I'm going to do. You know,
Lowe's and
you know,
Greenwood, I've been
y-
there.
yeah. I mean, I'm just going to go work at Lowe's, and just have a normal life. Well,
Yeah.
that didn't last long. A good friend of mine, Michael Brown from Lancaster, South Carolina. He's a family friend. Him and my brother worked together at Hendrick in the motor department, and Michael raced. He races quite a bit around this area, and me and him raced together for a few months there. And then he wanted to slow down on his racing a little bit and things like that, and so I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna come back home. I mean, I came home every night. Um, I'm gonna do the Lowe's thing or something. Well, then I got a phone call from Cody Overton and Brandon. Um, and I started, at the time Anna was racing, Cody's fiance, Anna Parkhurst. She was racing crate cars and supercars, and they asked if I wanted to help her out because she didn't have nobody. And they're in Thompson, Georgia. It's like a 45 minutes, from here, an
Right.
hour from here. And
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, sure, like I'll go do that. And so I've raced with Anna for a couple years there, and we had fun doing that. Nothing serious, but I mean, as far as like traveling and stuff, but it was just me. It was just me and her, you know. And we raced for a couple years, and me and Brandon and Cody become close in that time, and and then Anna decided that she was she was ready for a change of pace. She didn't want to race anymore because she'd been doing it since she was 12, 13 years old. Um, and Cody was getting hot and heavy into his racing and starting to
Right.
hit
Yeah.
national tour stuff and things. So she wanted to support him, and I got it. You know, I understood. Well, lo and behold, I thought that was going to be my last hoorah in racing. You know, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna, get out of this, like whatever. John Henderson comes into the picture, and I'm like, oh, okay, John. Uh, John had recently been, he had been in an accident a couple years prior to that, and they told him he couldn't race for a couple years. So he was on the sidelines for a couple years there, and he was, helping. He was, supporting Brandon and Cody's racing a little bit, helping them out along the way, and he was still involved. And um, he got cleared to race again, so he just moved. He decided he wanted to race, and he moved all his stuff into Anna's shop, and I guess I came with the shop. So me and John started racing together.
Yeah.
We raced for a couple years, but me and John, talked when we first started, just racing for fun. Just he was just wanting to get out and race some more and get back in the groove of things. But me and him had, both agreed that one day, let's start a race team, like a
Yeah.
national tour team. Um, and we both, he's obviously it's his deal. I was just the one that maybe convinced him to do it, I guess. um but he didn't need
I
much help.
gotcha.
um so me and him raced for a couple years, year and a half, and then he decided he wanted to go ahead and get started on this, so he built a big nice shop at his house, and
Oh yeah, I've seen
bought
it.
a nice
I've
new
seen
rig,
video of it.
and was gearing up for you know wanting to tackle this as a team owner. And I told him I'd support him the whole way. Whatever, needed to be done, I'd do it. So that's when ASD Motorsports started. Um,
Okay,
and
let me ask you this question real quick. What does ASD stand for?
Auto Sports Dynamics.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
I
Auto
appreciate
Sport
that.
Dynamics. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple other things it stands for, some acronyms that we can't probably say on here, but you know, we'll talk about those some other time.
Uh,
But we started this deal out. John, wanted to do it, so we teamed up with Barrier Out Race Cars at first, and Will Harrington was the driver. Um, and we did that for you know uh, almost a half a year, I guess, and things weren't really jiving the way they should, and things weren't going the way that they needed to. So Will uh, wanted to go a different route, so he did, and that's when Ethan Dotson came along. Ethan started out that same year we started the ASD deal. He started out with Coltman Farms that year, and I think Ethan came right out the gate. He won a couple races with the Coltman Farms team, um, and then about the same time Will wanted to leave ASD Motorsports, Ethan left Coltman Farms. Um, and Dwayne Frady, who is involved with Colton Farms, he's he works for Colton Farms Racing. He was on Ethan's team when Ethan was over there. Dwayne came up to me at Friendship Motor Speedway like the week that Will left that next weekend, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna give Dotson your phone number. Like, I think you need to, if y'all are wanting to hire another driver, I think you need to call him. Like, he's a free agent right now." And I'm like, you know, I, I've known who Ethan was, from modified racing and stuff, and
yeah.
obviously his short at the time his short career of late model racing, and he already had some wins. Like he was obviously a natural to it, and I had actually watched Ethan the first time he ever drove a late model at Charlotte Motor Speedway for a test at the dirt track over here. Um, he hopped in Brandon Overton's car, and that was the first time he made some laps. And in a late model, and I mean he was good, like right out the
Yeah.
gate. Um, well, lo and behold, me and Ethan got in contact with each other. I told John about him. John was interested, obviously, and that's pretty much all she wrote from there. It
Yeah.
didn't take but about a few days, and Ethan was down at the shop. We were mounting seats, doing all that stuff, testing, um, things like that, and then you know we 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 ran the Barry Wright cars for about a month there, and Barry and Lance, we were doing they were doing all they could. We were trying and trying, and just really couldn't figure those cars out, to be honest. And Ethan's connection with Longhorn and Steve Arpin was a no brainer of what we needed to do. So I remember it was like um it was right before Fairbury. Um, like the week before, 2 weeks before Fairbury, Ethan and John got a hold of Arpin, and they put a car together for us.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
we took it straight to Fairbury. We left from Longhorn on Tuesday, had to be at Fairbury on Wednesday. Um, and uh, I mean that was the June last year. And I can't remember. We might have made the falls deal that night, the first weekend out in the Longhorn. Just making that race is a big deal. But then the next week we go to Cedar Lake. And I mean that's another big event.
Yeah.
Our crown jewel. I remember we qualified great. I think we ended up with the race was rain shortened, but I think we ran 10th in that deal. But just making the race again, making big strides because we went from not making a race in the Barry car to now we're going to national. And these were, Southern national races and more regional stuff. We couldn't really line up there like we were trying, but we couldn't. Um, then we get these Longhorns and we start going to national events and
Yeah.
crown jewel events, and here we are, lining up, um, with the best of the best. Then we leave from Cedar Lake. We went to the Topless 100. Ethan never raced a supercar around Batesville before, but that's one of my home tracks. So I mean, I
Sure. Yep.
felt like we would be fine, and we ran fourth in the Topless 100.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I mean, it
That
just
had to
kind of
make you feel
snowballed
pretty
from there.
good.
Yeah, I mean,
That had
it
to make
did.
you feel pretty good to go home and run fourth like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
we finally got our first win at Talladega, prelim night. It was a hunt the front race, I think. Uh, right after the topless, and then it really took off from there. Like went from there. We won the cotton picking at Magnolia, which is by far my favorite racetrack. I'm going to go ahead and make that noticed
I've heard a
here.
lot of good stuff about that track.
Magnolia is my favorite place in the whole world. We won 20 grand, the cotton picking 100. You know, we went to the World 100 and we qualified for the World 100. Ethan's first ever World 100 to go to, and he qualifies for it. And we started. I think we started like ninth in the World 100. We didn't finish very good, but I mean, it is what it is. We're baby steps.
Yeah.
I mean, we're there. Um, and yeah, I mean, we just all kind of. I mean, we just made a great team. You know what I mean? Like everything kind of
Yeah,
worked out
absolutely.
together, and it was and now that's where we are now. I mean that's
Yeah.
where we ended up. Just
Yeah.
a little bit of success and a little bit of fun, and here we are.
Yeah, I hear you. I like I said, I saw first time at Rocket is the first time I saw ASD live at a track,
Mhm.
and man, it looked to me like down there last fall at Rocket that y'all had a really good car, and I don't know, maybe Gustin came down on him or something in the corner, and kind of cut him off, and but it seemed like y'all had a really good car there and a chance of winning that when I was out there. So I was a fan ever since then. I'm like, this team right here, this is a good team right here. I
Oh
like
yeah, I
them.
mean we that's one thing. I mean we like to have a good time. for sure. Ethan, you get to know Ethan. You know, he likes to have a good time, for sure. And like we were, and still do. Like we have a lot of fun when we go to the racetrack. And I think that's what kind of makes a difference sometimes. I mean, there's probably times where we probably should be more serious, but at the end of the day, we're racing piece of metals around a dirt track,
Yeah.
and like we're here to win, yes. But if you're not having fun doing it, then there's no point in doing it. You know.
Now, I get you on that one, man. Now, how important is it? How important is the chemistry between you and Ethan to make this work? I mean, I mean, because I'm assuming that if something's not going right with the car, he doesn't think something's going right. He comes and tells you,
Yep.
and you've got to figure out how to get that where he wants it. Correct?
Yes, sir. And I mean, I think driver crew chief driver crew relationship is everything, to be honest, because just to kind of clarify here, I really don't like the term crew chief. I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong, yeah, it's cool, whatever, but the reason I don't like it is because it's not just me. It's not, it's Ethan, me, Nick, Brady, Chris. Like, it takes all of us, you know
Right.
um, I
Okay.
mean, it's a team effort. Crew chief is a title, but I don't really like that term. I'll just be honest. I don't, because I was I was a tire guy before, and I knew what the title was of that and a crew chief, but I was always told by Jason, like, you're just as important, if not more important than me, because you're the only thing that's between the driver and the racetrack is your
I
tires.
gotcha.
So you're just as important. So honestly, like, it's not just mine and Ethan's chemistry; it's everybody's chemistry, that's most important. I think. I mean, he does. Yeah, I mean, he'll come to me, but he'll go to Nick as well. He'll go to Brady. Like, he'll, not only just come to me, but it's a group effort.
All right, Tyler, tell me, for people who don't know, let's say start after the race on Saturday night. What is your what is your routine like for the next week? What do you do to get ready for the next race?
Uh, Honestly, it's not really what I do. Like the boys is, and I call Nick and Brady the boys, and Ethan as well. They wash everything. Sunday they normally wash everything, and they handle all the, the fun stuff for sure. Get to the shop, and then, you know, the biggest thing is everything's washed, and then get there, like, we maintenance the car. Obviously there's going to have to be some body work normally. Not knocking Ethan, but there's always going to be some body work. Um, and and then, just maintenance on the cars is the biggest thing. Making sure everything's back to where it should be. Um, take everything apart. Essentially. I
So
mean,
do you
even
do that? I've
yeah.
heard people say that it's important that you get under there because like one little crack could be
Oh
a
yeah.
problem.
Oh yeah. Like, our maintenance program is pretty, you know, pretty superb. We take front ends apart, and check all the ball joints, upper control arms, lower control arms. Obviously, I mean, that's important. And then, just kind of taking good notes, where everything was, especially if your car was good. That's another thing that's really important. But, like checking your axles, hubs, drive shaft. I mean, just, all the bolt-on parts as far as four-link rods, bird cages, because all that stuff moves, and there's a lot of times, like, we're pretty rough and tough on these things, or they are. So, like, you got to make sure all your measurements are back right and everything's back to, like, just standard locations or where it should be, where you want it. And so, I mean, it's a pretty thorough process, throughout the week. But I mean, that normally, like, you can do it in a day. Um, you don't want to rush things like that, but, you've done it enough, like, you can kind of get it down to a
You know what to
science.
look for.
Um, and you know, like you just kind of keep up with laps on everything too. Like you got to keep up with laps on motors, rear ends, transmissions, drive shafts, things like that. Um, you know, that's another important role because you know we only
Let
get
me ask you
1,200 laps.
that while I got. Let me ask you that real quick. So, what do you have like certain lap times on motors, or certain
Yes,
laps that count that you send those off to get them refreshed?
yeah. So like we go for basically every 1,000 to 1,200 laps.
Okay.
You know they've got to be, you know, they have to be sent off and get freshened, and and normally it's when you pull a motor out to get it freshened, you might as well just go ahead and change the rear end. Most of the times you can leave it in there and get, you know, 2,400 laps out of a rear end. You know, if you haven't been too hard on it, so to speak, you can leave it in there for two motor freshens. But
Now,
normally,
is that the whole rear end, or is that? Are you
yeah,
talking
you
about the
change the whole
entire
rear end.
rear end?
Yep, the
Okay.
whole rear end. Yep,
Okay.
yep. Take it out, transmission, drive shaft. So when you put that fresh motor in, everything else is fresh.
Okay.
You know you kind of keep up with it that way. That it's a lot easier. And you know, racing on a level like, you know, Ethan and them do. You know, I mean, you can't have parts failures. No, you don't need to have parts failures. There's no need for parts failures. So, um, you know, and John gives us the resources to make sure we have everything we need. You know, so I mean, we, you know, don't get me wrong, there is going to be times that things happen that's out of our control. But you know, I mean, there's a lot of times preventative maintenance can prevent those things from happening. You know, so I mean, we keep up with that stuff, and then, you know, throughout the week, like, you know, Brady's cutting tires and getting things ready, cleaning the rig, you know, keeping it organized and clean and stuff. Nick's over here servicing the generator on the rig and making sure the tires are good on the rig and things like that. You know, I'm doing body work, and Ethan's just as much involved as, you know, as any of us. You know, he's not just a driver; like he's over here working on his own stuff as well. You know, and then you know, we take shocks apart, dyno them, work on them. You know, check all the loads, reset things for where we're going the next week, fill off a notebook if we've been there before, if we kind of knew where we needed to be, kind of start, you know, loads and shock wise and spring wise, you know, kind of start there, get everything set, and then we load it back up and go to the next one. You know what I mean? Um, so I mean, it's a lot in a short amount of time. It is a
Yeah.
lot in a short
Sounds
amount of
like it.
time. Yeah.
Now, do you have like, okay, let's say, what's your next race? Charlotte? Is that the
Yes,
next race
sure.
for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, are you going to have your car set up pretty much before you even go there?
Yeah, so
Do you,
like we went and we tested at Charlotte last week. Penske, you know,
okay.
we had a test with Penske at Charlotte. Now everybody goes to Charlotte and test. It seems like so. You know, we went up there last week, and um, you know, so we kind of have an idea where we're going to unload and start at. You know, I mean, yeah, maybe we don't have them 100% set when we load the car up, but we know we have
But you
10
have an
hours to
idea.
kill. Yeah, we have an idea. So we have 10 hours to kill once we get there and get unloaded. So then we can knock it out there, or sometimes we'll have it done before we get there.
So when you're out busting it on the road, like, you know, when I saw you at Humboldt, I think you guys raced somewhere else. Did you
The
race
81
Wichita the next
next
day?
night. Yeah,
Yeah.
81.
So, when you're out there on the road doing it like that and you don't have time, I'm assuming you guys did not, did you, I mean, you don't have time to change. So, do you know before you get to, like, let's say Humboldt race is over, do you kind of know what you have to do to your car before you get to 81? Or do you go, or do you have to just kind of
Uh, we just kind
wing
of,
it?
you know, like we get there, we look at it, you know, and, you know, no, we don't know. We never know. We're all
Okay.
just educated guessers, and we can even, you know, argue the educated part on that. But you know, I mean, we do have an idea. Like we have a baseline, I guess you could say that, you know, we can start at if we just, you know, not real sure. We're just going to try it here, and then we kind of know what we need to do from there after he gets hot laps or whatever. Um, you know, but I mean, with that specific night, you know, we actually that night at Humboldt, you know, we had a little fender bender in our heat race and
Yep.
tore up a bunch of stuff. And between the heat race and the feature, you know, we had to replace a whole bunch of shit, a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Um, and
And he ended up doing pretty good too, right?
yeah, we ran. Yeah, we ran. I think we ran
Fourth
fourth
or
that.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah, we ran fourth.
The,
Yeah, yeah,
that was something I wanted to talk to you about is that because I saw that and I mean it was not good in that heat
no,
race,
I mean we,
and you
you know, I
guys
mean,
got that thing back out there and came in fourth in that thing.
yeah, I mean, and again, it's not just one or whatever. I mean, hell, even Drake Troutman was over there helping us, fix stuff. Because we had a lot of tore up stuff after that heat race, and you know, I remember, like Nick and Brady and Drake and hell, even John came over there. John was there, and like they were changing the nose and bumper, and I was changing left front suspension. Ethan had the body off the whole left side of the car. He was straightening it. And then on top of that, we still had to make adjustments before the feature that we needed to do.
Yeah,
So we just all worked as a team, and again, it's not just one person; it's everybody. So we got it knocked out, and we didn't let that hold us back any whatsoever.
yeah,
And
obviously
I
not.
think he
And
started
then when I
he started 13th that night, and we drove the
yeah,
fourth. So I mean that was obviously a respectable night, for
and
sure.
then when I met you and John, Ethan was sitting in a modified, getting ready to go
Yeah,
back out again.
yeah. Ethan was sitting in a modified. He was going to make practice laps because he was going to race it the next night at 81, and that was
Yeah,
the first time he had sat in it. So he was him and I think Gustin was even out there making some laps as well in a
yeah,
modified. And we stayed that night. We didn't stay at the track, but we stayed later, a couple extra hours, and we worked on
right.
the car. Made sure everything was 100% before we did go to 81 the next night.
And for
So we worked pretty.
people who don't know, Ethan and Drake Troutman, they're competing for rookie points or like rookie of
Yes.
the year, and they're helping each other out.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. I
mean,
mean,
that's super cool, man.
yeah. It's pretty obvious that Drake and Ethan have a pretty good relationship. So, they always park together and stuff. So I mean, we all help each other out. I mean, and that's with anybody in the pits. Like, we'll all help each other out if we need it. But you know, uh, Drake and Ethan obviously have a pretty close relationship. So even though they're racing against each other for a bunch of money in that rookie deal,
Yeah,
like we'll lend a hand whenever it's needed. Likewise.
right. You want everybody competing at the top level, right? I mean,
Yes, exactly.
you want to if you're going to win, you want to beat everybody at their best,
Yes, yeah, you don't want anybody handicapped whatsoever.
right? Right.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this question. You don't have to name any names or anything like that, but is there anybody that you guys are like have rivals out there when you're racing, like in that series, or anybody that
Uh,
you don't get along with? And I don't need any names.
yeah, I mean, you get along with everybody, and
Yeah,
you basically, I'm pretty sure everybody has this thought process. Just race people how you get raced. I'm not going to say there's any rivals because at the end of the day, we're all like we said at the beginning of this. It's a small sport. It's a traveling circus.
sure. You
So
guys all
um,
know each other and see
yeah.
each other all the time.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, there's a no-brainer. There's always going to be you know, some ruffle feathers from somebody or whatever. But I mean, yes and no to that. To answer that
Yeah,
question,
yeah.
depends on the week.
I got you. I
Yeah.
got you, man. So let me ask you this question. I know I've had you on here a long time, so that I kind of want to try to figure out a way to get more people to drive. And I know you're the national level, so you've always got a pretty good crowd, probably wherever you go. What do you think, or do you have any ideas that might help, like just a weekly race at a racetrack? Do you
Uh,
think? Do you think
Promotion.
more late models?
No, I don't. It doesn't matter what classes are out there. Obviously, late model racing. You know, Especially where we were in Kansas. Like that's doesn't happen out there.
Right.
Um, but they had 40 something cars show up to Humboldt. You know,
Yeah.
that was big. I remember talking with Steve Francis before that event, and he was like, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we have 30 cars, and they had 40 something cars show up. Um, I don't. I mean, a lot of the racetracks we go to, yeah, there's a good crowd. But as far as local racing goes, I don't I don't think there's any, you know, like special thing you could do. I mean, I understand the prices of everything have gone up, so I mean, like, yeah, you
Yeah.
can't make ticket prices $2 to get in like they used to be back in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s and things like that. But just a simple fact of promotion, I mean,
Yes.
it's just a simple thing of, go around and talk to your local businesses, go around and put some flyers up
Yeah.
like you used to do back in the day.
Put
Obviously, social
put some
media is
boots on the ground and go out and talk to folks.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
there's, like the World of Outlaws just announced this week that they're going to go, next year for Speed Weeks, we're going to go race in Miami. you know, uh,
That's awesome.
the super late model racing is not even a thing down there, but
Yeah.
the way that the Hendry County has promoted it, just from what I've seen on Facebook,
It's
uh,
already
like
big.
they've amped it up to be like, what's this big announcement going to be? What's this big announcement going to
Yeah.
be? Well, they've literally got the whole town behind them now. All right, like who's to say we go down there and it's not a good race, like the racetrack's bad or whatever? It doesn't matter. Like as long as there's fans in the stands. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, as on the racer side of it or team side of it, yeah, that's a long ways to go to not have a racy racetrack. But at the end of the day, we should all be looking how to grow this sport. And if we show up to this place and it's a packed house, then it's a win. You know,
Absolutely.
I think it is a gamble
Like
on
Boot
the
Hill.
World of Outlaws part, but I mean the way that they're promoting it, and this is just what I've seen on Facebook, just social media. I can only imagine what they're doing in town. You know,
Right.
I mean, and I think just like your local racing, in order to put fans in the stands, like you said, put boots on the ground, walk around,
Yeah.
get kids involved. I don't know, I mean, just get your
Absolutely.
community involved. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. I saw you down at Boot Hill when I went down there too. But Boot Hill,
Yep.
man, that place is packed. That
Oh
was
yeah,
a
it was packed
fun
out.
time.
Yeah, it was, and it's again like them boys down there. I mean, they promote the hell out of it. You
Yeah.
know, they've turned that place around. I remember going to that place back in 17, 18, or 16, 17, maybe even 15, and 2015, and the new people that have it now. I mean, Bubba and them, like they have literally turned that place around, and they've made it a attraction for the
Yes.
community around the area, and
Yeah.
that's what it takes. I mean, it's no different than like Rodney Wing at Why Not. I think Rodney does a great job of, putting on great races, like his racetrack does. Um, but he also, you go into town and that they're at Meridian, and people that you would not think would be talking about the racetrack are talking about the racetrack. And it's just
Yeah.
because he's, made it known, so I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that can help
Yeah. I
do.
mean, you need new blood in businesses that are sponsoring stuff. You need to go find
Hmm.
those people that maybe didn't have anything to do with it at all. Nothing. I
No,
mean, and
exactly.
tell them, hey, I mean, these race fans are loyal, to people that support racing. I mean, that's no
Yeah.
joke. I
No,
mean,
it's no.
I'm not a Nick Hoffman fan, but I'll go buy NOS energy drinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
because they support racing. So it's stuff like that that I don't know. We need some new blood in there, and people just I think you may remember this. I'm older than you are, but we knew who everybody was, the communities. We knew where this guy was from and that guy was from. And those communities, they were big behind those guys. So
Oh yeah.
I think you need to build up the local guys and, you know, let people know who they are. So they have
Yeah,
somebody to root
exactly.
for.
Like
You
some
got to have
some
somebody to root
spotlight
for.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember, growing up at BB Speedway. I mean,
I
that
heard
was
about
that
that
was
place.
that was my home track. I mean, it was 20 minutes from the house, and I mean, there's names that people would not even recognize if I said them, but I know as a kid going there, like I remember watching them. Like
Yeah.
they were just Saturday night, weekend racers, weekend warriors. But you know, as a kid, like they made that staple, in me, just because of being there and being around it. Now, I mean, I was involved more than most, but like, and then like you would see it become something, like I would bring friends to the racetrack that don't go to the racetrack, and then they would get involved in it, and then they would have the same outlook as I did. So then, like, just that's just how it built. And
Yeah.
I think, like we were saying, that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen to help local racing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We've been on here a while. I mean, I've had you on here. I know you're a busy guy. Um, Thanks for coming on. It's super cool talking to you, especially in
Yes, sir.
Arkansas, homeboy. That's awesome. Um, and let's have a part two sometime, Tyler. Man, I appreciate you coming on.
No, man, I appreciate you having me, Skip. Like I said at the beginning of this, I enjoy watching your stuff, and I
I
know you've
appreciate
got some
that.
cool ones coming out in the future. So, definitely let's do a part two, and we'll have a couple more garage beers together, and
I hear you.
we'll get more in depth in this for sure.
I got you. Thanks, Tyler. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.